Hey guys, welcome to the stage. If you guys are wondering why we're on video, it's because it's the podcast's 1 year birthday. So last year at this time, we started to podcast for the very first time, like officially. And I was talking to François, and I was like, what better way to celebrate this by doing a video podcast? So, by the way, welcome François. As you can see, he's here. You guys can
Happy
put faces.
birthday!
Yeah, we're
Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
we're really excited.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming, and we've always been quite skeptical because of connections issues in the past to do videos. I'm not sure if we're gonna keep doing this, but for today, it's a pretty special one. So hopefully, this will give you guys a better idea of what we look like, and put sort of the voice to the face. So today, what we're gonna be looking at is our first official podcast, which was done February 28th, 2021. And it's, gonna be interesting because since then, both François and I have evolved as, podcasters, I guess, as musicians, as human beings. And there's so much that has happened. And I thought it would be really interesting to see where we stand now and if we have different opinions of what we did and, just some overall conclusions. So, first of all, welcome everyone. Welcome and thank you for your support. No matter how, from where you guys are listening, it's always happy to hear every little comment that I get. So, basically, if I remember correctly, the last podcast, the first one basically, was time management and music pedagogy. That was what we were talking about. And as I was listening to it, because François and I re-listened to it to gain some insight on what was going on and how we were talking about it. And I thought it was really cool because, as some of you guys know, I have a journal that I've been leading for about, I don't know, 12 or 13 years. And sometimes things just repeat themselves. And in that podcast, like a year ago, we were talking about being stuck, or students being stuck. And I feel like some of my students, including myself, at this point in time, feel a little bit stuck in some places. But, if you look over the whole year, a lot of things have improved. Like things have opened up, people have started to travel. But I just find it interesting that even though a year has passed, generally, you know, things are just the same a bit, or they feel the same, even though they're totally not. And then, so after we talk about that, we're gonna dive into what we think on what we said. So basically, I'm just gonna go ahead and start. What I remember describing, what to do when a student is stuck, and some of it I agree. I don't. Did you get a chance to listen to it, by the way, François?
Yeah. What I was saying, I just came back of my theater lesson at 9:30. And so now it's approximately 11, maybe 15, 11 p.m. And I had just the time to eat and listening to the podcast at the same time. I took some notes, but really, really few, just a little bit. And just before you begin really your monologue, sorry.
Yeah.
Um, I just want to say you were speaking before, just in off, before to begin this podcast, this anniversary podcast. You were saying it's a cycle, it's
Yeah.
a kind and actually it's funny because you were stuck at this period last year.
Yeah.
And if you guys listen to the last podcast we did 4 days ago, 5 days ago,
Yeah.
I'm stuck in this moment.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's really this cycle, but we know we can going through. Maybe the time for me to be the icebreaker,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Ricardo is already a kind of diamond,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's continue.
Yeah. So, a lot of what I said, I think, is the same. So, definitely, if someone is stuck, you need to be quite flexible in their approach and try a lot of different things to propel yourself forward into different possibilities. And I guess after January, when you're just starting the year, you want to try new things. Maybe people have a lot of New Year resolutions, but even though I'm not a huge fan of New Year's resolutions or New Year's itself, I mean, I love New Year's if there's a big party, but I think every day you should just make the best out of it as if every day was a new year, in itself. But I think sometimes you feel the pressure of like starting new things where you're at and you can't help but to look back. So being stuck, I remember talking about some students who were stuck. What do you do when, do you say like you force them into new things? And I remember Francois was like, no, you need to be flexible, give them small praise, a much more understanding thing. And I was really like serious on my approach, which hasn't changed. But I think the key here is being open to different ideas. I think that really helps. And trying, if you are stuck, you have to ask yourself, like, well, why am I stuck? Am I trying the same things and expecting different results? I'm sure you guys have heard that somewhere. And if yes, maybe I should try different things. If not, well, maybe I should do more digging in my habits. Start logging things and seeing if what I'm doing isn't necessarily the best thing. And just by the way, we're not going to rehash like exactly minute by minute of what we talked about last podcast or the first podcast. It's more like of an inspiration for today's theme, which is a bit of everything. And most above all, I'm just very, very happy to just say like, yeah, like we came this far. I think there's 26, 27 podcasts so far.
29. But
29.
not just only with me, but I was today on the
Oh, you
application
saw, wow.
Podbean, and I saw 29 podcasts.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Ricardo. It's
Yeah.
really awesome.
Yeah. And, like Francois, I remember, and guys, well, the interesting thing, we're going from one thing to another, but the interesting thing is to actually get this going. Like we started maybe a year before that doing like off the grid podcasts because I remember like listening to this podcast and we start right off the bat. Well, the last podcast, I don't know if you noticed that, but it's written like I said, well, the last podcast we talked about, but there's no podcast before that. So we had like
I
many
thought exactly the
podcasts.
same thing, that people are thinking, okay, maybe, but this podcast, what is it, this podcast?
Yeah.
But I think it's a good thing. It's a kind of, sorry for you guys, but this feeling, oh, maybe I missed something. There is a community before I came, but only these people know that. No stress.
Yeah.
Be cool. There is no other community. We were just two of us alone.
Yeah. Yeah. We really were.
But we were imagining, okay,
Yeah.
we are doing a podcast, but not online.
Yeah. Well, it was
Just
like there's a certain dynamic that needs to be established. Also today, I'll be perfectly honest. This is like a different feeling. Having seen Francois and being in front of a camera, you don't have the same sort of privacy that you have just really thinking in your head and being in the comfort of your room. I mean, I'm still in the comfort of my studio, but it's a different dynamic. So even this is like a new thing, and it definitely is exciting to see Francois's reaction, to what I'm saying, and it's a lot more dynamic. I can't help but to be happy. I'm sure, like I have to smile because it's so cool. But the previous podcasts that we did, maybe we'll upload like one at some point, but they're like shady with like, because at some point you use your phone, right, to do them. And the quality, we were figuring out like what equipment works best and how it would best suit our needs. And then eventually we sort of got like a rhythm, and yeah, it just got really better from there. I was really, really happy with the results, and I still am super amazed that it's gone this far. So I think I've been like talking a lot here, but what are your thoughts on what the podcast, like what it was? How did it feel to listen to yourself speak? Like, what has it been like?
To be honest, I was a bit scared because my English is okay, correct, but I remember uh, maybe other podcast earlier before this first one is not the first one, but for you guys it's the first one. Um, I remember listening these podcasts and thinking, oh my God, it's really difficult to understand what I'm saying, because I was thinking at what I have to say, but I think in French, so okay, I can think in English. I have some pictures in my head. I can imagine what I want to say, but formulating is really hard for me. It's a really big challenge every time. And even more difficult now, I'm living in France and I'm no more in confrontation with other people from other countries as I was in Basel in Switzerland or in Mannheim in Germany. And I was scared to listen this podcast because I thought, oh my God, this old period. And actually, I'm speaking really slow. You can really notice that I take the time to give my information, and you can understand too at the same time um, that uh, I'm not sure people understand me. So I do really precise, I use really precise example, and maybe sometimes too much precise, I take too
Yeah,
much time to explain some stuff. But I found a good rhythm between us, and it's because we did a lot of podcasts not
yeah.
online
We
before.
we we did a lot of trial runs.
Yeah,
And I'm
exactly.
I'm so amazed. Like, we didn't even, honestly, we it didn't feel like we even tried. Like, it was so easy to work with François. Like, one thing that we had to make clear in the beginning, I told him, I was like, this cannot be a chore. Uh, and even now, like, I like when I thought like, oh, it has to be on YouTube. I didn't think that. I was just like, it'd be like a fun experimental thing to put on YouTube, and I really have nothing to lose to do this because it's just genuinely fun, and I really don't
Yeah.
care. If I'm not dependent on it. Like, I have other, um, of course, if you need income or whatever. But I think really, if you can get out of your head of this, just doing things for fun, it never becomes like a chore. And that's, my trombone's over there. And I think when you get to the point where you're truly passionate about doing something, you have like almost unlimited energy to do something. And it's the
Mhm.
best feeling because, Francois, it's almost midnight there. I just had a long day. I mean, it's not midnight for me, but
Yeah,
I,
but
I,
tomorrow is my day off.
yeah,
Let's go.
yeah, yeah. Um,
Let's party now.
yeah, yeah. Or practice. No, I'm just kidding. But, you know, I think if I've learned anything, and it's just, I'm interrupting Francois here, but is just do something for fun, like, and that's what I was amazed is just working with Francois, or it doesn't even feel like work. It's just like fun stuff. And I don't really expect much out of it. It's just a fun time. So, anyways,
Actually, it's what we said a lot of in different podcasts. Just having fun is most important thing. Of course, if you want to do something professionally, you need uh, you have point at the point you need to do something seriously.
yeah,
But if you have the patience first, you will reach a kind of quality. Definitely, if you want more quality, of course you need to be more professional, but this minimum quality comes from patience, comes from motivation, and not from injunction, and I have to do that because of it doesn't work,
yeah.
never. But to continue, yeah, I was saying, um, oh, sorry, I forget.
Well, that's all right. It's late.
Yeah, the rhythm of it was a bit slower. What was not good for this first podcast, we had not so much energy. I found it
Yeah,
was
I noticed
interesting.
that
I
too.
listened to it. It was really interesting, but
Yeah,
wow, my God, so depressive.
yeah.
Really,
I know. I noticed it was quite like. you know, we're going on the safe side. But hey, you got to start somewhere. And
Yeah, 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 of
Frig,
course,
like,
definitely.
but yeah, I noticed that too. Like I was listening to like, and I was like, oh man, this is off to a great start. Like it's just, and I think the time too, we sort of worked out like a happy medium too, but it just like worked out and it's still, it's still improving,
Mm.
still improving.
But it's interesting because uh, we spoke about that too, and really often to explain this story about the podcast and why we did so much podcast before. I was not so I didn't agree actually.
Yeah,
I'm this kind of guy is egal if it's shit what we are doing, egal
yeah,
if it's shitty, put it online
yeah,
and let's improve yourself with
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And actually, I think it was good because this first one is not so good, but it's really credible.
yeah, yeah,
Really, really. And when you listen to what we are doing today, or when I say today, not
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
today,
yeah,
but you
yeah,
understand,
yeah,
you think, okay, now it's a better quality. Not all the time, actually, sometimes, but the energy, the
yeah,
rhythm, the this ping pong we have to speak
yeah,
together. It's really better. And it's a mix between my point of view. It was that
yeah,
egal, it will be not
yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
You can't begin with something perfect. And at the same time, you were saying, yeah, but we can't put online something
yeah. Well,
too much amateur.
yeah, well, the thing was for me, the hardest thing to figure out was the jingle. So that
Yeah.
little guitar riff that I did in the beginning, I know it's not much, but I was like, if I put something that's copyrighted, so like, I was there like with my guitar trying to do something half decent. And then the other thing is, I was using like a decent microphone, but I knew I wanted this one, and I knew because I have a loud voice, and so there's like a lot of like like P's and everything,
Mhm.
and this one has like a really nice audio quality. So I was a little picky, but I told myself I think I had to do at least 4 or 5 podcasts to see if it was gonna stick. And I was like,
Mhm.
only when I do that, then I'm gonna invest in something that I actually use, because this is like I use it for other stuff, but mostly I use it for podcasting. And lo and behold, it's been like a year and almost exclusively with François. But when that doesn't happen, like he has his own stuff, I have my own stuff sometimes, and we've both like it's funny. It's like the universe works for us. But like I'll call him. He's like, "Oh man, I was just about to call you. Like, we need to do another podcast or something, right?"
Yeah, yeah.
And
But we have a lot of synchronicity too.
yeah, yeah, and I think it's
That's
so
funny.
cool because we don't even have to like schedule it, and we're always thinking like, yeah, yeah. And then if someone like, if I miss something or if he misses, we always find a way. Like, knock on wood. Uh,
Yeah, sorry. If we do now, it's because I forgot yesterday.
no,
I'm
no, no, no. Well, actually, today's the good. Like today, at least in Canada, it's still
it's a
February
real
28th.
day.
It's still like because we were gonna do it yesterday, but then whatever, life happened, and it doesn't matter. But we're doing it
Yeah, but
today.
man, I forgot kind 1 hour before, all day long. I was thinking about this podcast, and
Yeah,
one day, hour before, too much thing. My best friend called me. My girlfriend would
yeah,
to play a game.
yeah,
We were at cinema before, and
yeah. But
and I call
like
you. Sorry, can we do it
it,
tomorrow? Yes, of course, no problem.
it was
Cool.
so like it was so easy for me. Like again, if you set the expectations, like you can only win. Like you really can. Like if you don't expect great, I mean, again, this is the agreement thing. I knew that I had a certain like threshold of quality that I wanted, and once I got that, then I was like, okay, once I could do something that's acceptable to my standard, but still I'm not afraid to be such a perfectionist, then we go ahead with that. And I was like, okay, we might have good ones, we might have bad ones, but at least we're fairly consistent. We've had our times off, and now it's like a year, and I'm so happy. again, this we might have said this on some other podcast, but like small steps, like baby steps. Like you get something and then you check it off. Like, wow, we wanted to do like at least, I think one of my goals when you were coaching me last year was like to do 2 podcasts in a month. And that was my goal. I didn't want to do like a gazillion, right? And then I did 2. And now I'm at like, so is today the 29th or today's going to be the 30th?
So it means more than 2.
Yeah.
Successful, bro.
Yeah, like I did more than double, more than triple that, So like it's a win. So anyways, another thing, as we close it off here, because we could talk, François and I could like literally talk for hours and hours and hours. One thing that I'd like to, we've been talking about how our opinion has changed, but through maybe not specifically to this podcast, but it's been a year. And I told François as we were getting warmed up for the call, I was like, it's almost like we've been through a process of osmosis for like, cells, they like are together. I'm not a biologist. So, but basically if I have this concept right, when you're like together with someone, not like together as in a relationship, but like you learn off of each other without even thinking it, right?
Mhm.
I get that right. That's decent, right?
Yes.
Okay. So is there anything, if you think back to things that you've done, has this podcast changed the way you do certain things? Because I know for me it has, and it's made me aware of things that I didn't do last year. Like I've definitely grown through this, but I'm curious to know what you think.
Mm, For me, for me it was not the same thing than for you, because you say it changed you. So
Not like
about some,
not like a giant change, but like
yeah,
small. You know
of
what I mean?
course, I understand. For me, it was a kind of uh, oh, I don't find the word,
French,
but
French word.
to go out of my reality, because I have this project, what I do, coaching, and I need to do a lot of podcast or video, um, creation. When I do a video or a podcast, I write everything, only really short form. I don't write. I use my imagination and
Right,
let's go.
right,
But when it's more than 3 minutes, I write it.
right.
And with you, it was cool because I could speak about my passion, so pedagogy, uh, so this coaching, mental preparation. It's really fascinating for me. But without writing, just speak about that, like we are in a bar together with a beer. Sometimes I was with my beer, actually.
Yeah,
I did podcast with a glass of beer, egal, and just speak about that. Okay, we had a kind of plan. Almost every time we had some 3 points
yeah,
or 3 ID, maybe
yeah,
4 IDs,
yeah,
and the ping pong was pretty good, approximately 5 minutes each.
yeah,
And for me, it was really fresh air,
yeah,
for
yeah,
me,
yeah. Fresh
because
air.
it was the only place I could speak about that without thinking it's to build a business.
Right.
It was just having fun with my friend. And at the second point, and I really thank you for that. Um, this project, this side project for me, but it's a big project for you, um, gives us the opportunity, you and me, to keep in touch, maybe oftener than normally without the podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
And for our friendship, I find it really, really powerful. And I
Yeah.
thank you for that.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. It's fun. It really is fun, and either way, like during the pandemic, a lot of people had to be really creative with what they're doing. Francois was already doing this, and it takes a certain, like, I won't lie, it takes a certain level of commitment to say that it was super easy. Uh,
No.
no, it wasn't. But because we have a great dynamic and we like to joke around and we communicate really well, like our ideas, like sometimes Francois was like, I don't follow you, or sometimes we didn't really agree on what we said, and then we like step back and we were like, okay, what is the perfect, like, what are we trying to do here, and then it sort of, we set like our goals straight, and then we move forward, and it's only like it's a growing thing, and I'm so happy that I was able, because either way we phone each other. Like it just happens. Like it's not like we don't only use podcasting to ask each other how we're doing. But I thought, since like it dawned on me, like when we talk about like these heavy subjects, and I was like, why not put this to good use? Maybe one of my students or maybe someone else might just find this interesting. And here we are now, like 1 year later, 30 episodes, right? This is the 30th.
Yeah.
So 30 episodes, like a cool number to end on.
Yeah, it's really
Like,
round
yeah,
number.
yeah, nice round number to start, I guess, the podcast year. So at any rate, um, I'm super happy to be a part of this project. And for me, I've noticed a lot of times when either I use Francois as my soundboard or he uses me as his soundboard, when I move on in my day and I'll be practicing or teaching, I'll be like, oh, you know what? Like, that was a really cool idea. Like, maybe I should try that. And it's not like a huge groundbreaking
Mhm.
idea, but it just adds to my thought process. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Like, I think I'm going to try that. Or, I didn't quite get what he was saying. I wonder what he meant. And then, of course, having like the odd person on the
What you're
channel. Yeah.
sorry, but I interrupt you. But what you're saying typically is exactly what happens to me. What happened to me on the last episode we
Mm-hmm.
did, so the
Yeah.
29. Um, I said I'm stuck. It's really hard for me to organize my schedule because of my job, etc., etc. And you remember me just a basic, basic I'm using all the time when I coach people. But it's really hard when you can't coach yourself. You can, but not really. You need
Yeah.
someone else. It's not because I am a coach that I'm uh, infallible,
Yeah.
infallible,
Invincible, maybe. Invincible, I
not
guess.
invisible, infallible. I do mistakes too,
Yeah, of course.
um, and you remember me, man. Just be happy, little steps. What have you done today? Is it a little step
Yeah.
or not?
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, he's right. And I I noticed that I stopped to listen to some podcasts about business building,
Yeah.
creativity.
Yeah.
I was more listening this time other stuff about politics,
Yeah.
and actually the politic in this moment is just sorry,
Yeah.
it's
That's a whole, we
and
should have a whole nother channel for that.
yeah, but it was a pollution for my
Yeah.
mind,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's why I was a bit down
Yeah.
because I had no more this energy impulse, yeah,
Yeah.
from the other creators,
Yeah.
and I began just these last 4 days to listen to other stuff, and boom, 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 the ideas came back, and it's wow. And so you were asking what changed this podcast for you.
Yeah.
For example, this example is typically what is it for
Yeah.
me. It's not just to give some advice from the listeners, but it's already something big for us. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's all right. You know what? I actually don't have much more to say. I'm can't be happy enough to have spent time with François today. We're still, you know, we're still gonna do podcasts. There are some new guests coming on the channel, just working out the details. But I can't thank Francois for being super open and, you know, being available. And we've all done like our flexibility stuff. You know, if he couldn't, then I could, and vice versa. But you know, I'm gonna end it on this. Like for me, this podcast, I didn't expect like many listeners, to be honest, and I don't think like for now it's a very like small audience. But I was just going on the fact that I like to make five. I was gonna be happy if I made five. That was my ultimate goal. I was like, if I could do five, and then the pandemic stops, that's cool. And you know, like I was just like my sixth. I was like, oh man, like I did way more. And then my seventh, I was like, oh man. And then like when I saw 19, I was like, holy crap, like I've done like almost 20 and now I'm at like 30. And you know what? If I stop, like I won't stop, but I mean, if I stop at 30, I'm still super happy, you know, because my goal was just five. I never expected to do this. I never expected to have like a podcast site or a podcast hosting thing. And I surely never really expected to go on YouTube with my podcast and now a video cast with François. So small steps. I think it really is underrated and take them while you can because in the long run, they're worth a lot. So François, if you have any other comments, I think this is a pretty good time to wrap it up.
No special comments, but I don't know. It's just an idea like that. If you guys like this form with video, because you put podcasts sometimes on YouTube, maybe we could try to do more episode like that. Of course, with real theme, not
Yeah.
just speaking about anniversary.
Yeah.
Or maybe just, how we say, for question FAQ. Some questions or egal.
Yeah. Another thing that we
We
were
can
thinking
we
of.
can do that too,
Yeah.
because I like the energy too. We see us and
Yeah. Yeah. No,
it's
for sure.
cool.
There was already some energy like without the video. But another thing that we're thinking of doing at some point down the line is maybe a live cast. Still haven't like come to that
Ah,
yet,
yes.
but at some point in time it would be interesting. So let us know if you think it's interesting. We, you know, love to hear from you guys and we sure, you know, are happy to, you know, just accommodate in any possible way.
I have a question about live cast before we cut it.
Yeah.
Um, During the live cast, is there I would say question sections that people can ask us
I
something
think
or not at the
on
same
Podbean,
time?
yeah, Podbean. I think with the platform, like once you enter it, people can ask questions, and
Uh-huh,
then you can
cool.
invite them, kind of like Clubhouse, I guess. But Clubhouse, I think it's solely with like live speakers, whereas Podbean, you can just like type a message, and then you have the choice either to write a
Mhm.
message for those who don't feel comfortable, or just like directly going on a call. I think I'd
Cool.
have to do a little bit more research, but that's what I think.
So
So
let's see what happens.
yeah, all right. Well, thank you very much, Francois, for this lovely video cast or podcast, whatever he calls. I don't know, YouTube sesh. Um, so
This
love
capsule.
to hang out, and we'll talk to you guys. See you guys very soon. Take care, guys.